How do you do? It's January 1st, 2018. Happy New Year. Having had nothing to do over the holidays, I spent about a week working on putting together materials from my court cases for this Facebook page, Targeted Justice Denied. And you can see the URL there, sort of. Facebook.com, TIs Get No Justice, alright? And there it is. I want to describe what's on this page to make it a little easier to navigate. You may not want to read everything that's on there, although I can really recommend that you do, especially if you are a targeted individual and you get involved in any kind of a court action. You need to be mindful of these things, especially if you're trying to sue somebody for a crime related to your gang stalking program. Everything that you need to know is contained on this page. I started out with two notes. One of them called the larger issue, the other one called designation. Designation has gotten a lot of reads. Larger issue hasn't gotten that many reads. But trust me, the larger issue is something that you will think about once you get going with your legal action. And it asks if we not do everything that we can to try to stop programs that steal your assets and kill you, and that want to do that to everybody. Now, come on, think about it. That's important. Designation is about having a label put on you that says you're a terrorist, you're on a terrorist watch list, or you're on the enemies list, you're on a no-fly list. There are other lists. They're secret lists, and you can't really know what they are. Well, that's sort of a problem. Then I go into the posts. There's an introduction to Targeted Justice Denied. There's a lead up to the case summary, which gives a background of just what happened and what this is. This is a case, a finance fraud case for a simple estate trust, an irrevocable trust. Most lawyers don't know what an irrevocable trust is. If you have a trust, you go to the one and only expert, go to the bank. They can tell you what the trust can do and what you can do with it. Lawyers, judges, trustees, Aunt Myrtle, they don't know what happens. Then I took my diary, which is it's a journal that I was keeping when I started these legal actions. And I divided them into two summaries. There's a case summary, which is all legal work. There's also a summary of the gang stalking activities. And I wrote it so that you can read it. It's a little easier than reading my online summary. There's a commemorative of my late brother who died December 27, 2004, from directed energy weapon attack. They turned off his heart. He dropped dead on the floor. Yeah, I know who did it. There are two posts with links. One is to my handwritten diary, which is posted online on the blog CPA Loots Trust. There's another link to the case, so the civil case summary on oscn.net. Then I've got posts that have documents in them. One of them is a phony loan agreement, a line of credit, and fake loan activity report. He did several of those. I didn't put them all up there. I just gave you one as an example. It's made to confuse the issue. I knew that it was phony, all along. There's a post that has a copy of the checks that Dennis Hampton wrote to himself. He was a CPA. He was my most trusted business associate of more than 30 years. He stole all my money. He stole $190,000. He left me about $1,800. Just helped himself to it, put it in his accounts, and spent it. There's our civil lawsuit petition and Dennis's response. He did not hire a lawyer. He was told he would not need one and that he would not even appear in court. And that's what happened. In that he was a CPA, we filed a complaint with the State Accountancy Board, and the State Accountancy Board's conclusions of law and final order in there permanently revoking Dennis's license and fining him $32,077, including costs, in what the State Accountancy Board called the worst case of malpractice they had seen. Now, there's my victim impact statement, which so far has gotten very little attention. That victim impact statement does more for the targeted individual community than all the Johnny-come-lately superheroes and all the public awareness that's going on. And I'm telling you, man, Donald Trump's not going to come along and save you, and Superman isn't. And all these people that you think have answers, they don't have any answers. Because throughout this victim impact statement, which I wrote for the federal criminal case, it mentions organized harassment, and it says that all these people participated in a plan that included stealing the money and killing me, and they all knew, and they had a good laugh about it, and they all belong in the electric chair, and that's what I said. And this was a little problematic. One day after it arrived at the U.S. Attorney's Office, Sanford Coates resigned, a job he loved, had for 6 years, and received by presidential appointment, and he quit. I don't blame him, because this little finance fraud case, which is not really even that much money, was the dirtiest thing he'd seen, because he was being told, you're going to let this very guilty defendant walk, and we're going to have to get him out of it. We're going to have to find out a way. And they did not want my testimony in open court, and I guarantee you they did not want it. There is then the prosecutor's and defendant's sentencing memoranda, which is some of the most unbelievable legalese I have ever read. I've read a lot of legal documents for a guy who's not an attorney. They discussed this case not on the basis of the crime that took place, but the thing that it was, they're trying to decide whether or not I was broken enough or too broken for recovery, and they went on and on about it. It's an unbelievable bunch of stuff. And in the end of the prosecutor's memorandum, he makes some statement about how, my rambling victim impact statement proves, I have a disordered mind. I had 10 days to fill out this 9-question statement. It's voluntary, but it's maybe my only chance to say something to the U.S. attorney who refused to talk to me, and certainly to the judge in case I don't get to testify. Otherwise, I could also make a statement in open court. I had nothing prepared, but I pretty much knew what I was going to say. They did not want me talking. And I don't know why, but I mentioned organized harassment through that. That document is very important. There are 3 complaints, the Oklahoma Bar Association, and there is the Bar Association's replies. One of those letters says that the Supreme Court rules would like me to keep this confidential. Well, I have rules of my own, and they say that one shares information about organized crimes against humanity. Yeah, it's too hard for me. I can't figure it out. There are 3, those are 3 complaints. There's my complaint to the Department of Justice, Office of Professional Responsibility. How should I put this? Finance fraud cases are typically disposed in 4 to 9 months. I ground away with this mess for almost 3 years, 33 months. And from the time Dennis Hampton pled guilty until the sentencing hearing was almost 7.5 months. Just that part. We wait and we wait and we wait and we wait. And I mentioned in my notes, when I called them up and I went down there to visit them and they would not see me and everybody's behind their bulletproof glass laughing at me. It is the damnedest thing I ever saw. There are some other documents in there, and I may put some other stuff in there, but this is just kind of for fun. Before this went to FBI, I went to the State Attorney General, who was Scott Pruitt, who's now the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, and he's taking it apart. I filled out a complaint to the AG's office, and Dennis makes a response, and then I gave my reply. And everybody was highly amused by it. I make the statement in there that he says something about he holds no ill will to Mr. Roloff, and I said, well, I'm darn glad, it didn't make Dennis mad stealing all my money. Then there's an interesting letter that Dennis wrote to our lawyers saying he couldn't attend the pretrial conference in the civil case. The pretrial conference is not a meeting. You're not going to have lunch and all that. It's a court proceeding in a civil case. Plaintiff and defendant are not invited. It's with the lawyers and the judge. And he sent this letter dated July 6, 2015 to my lawyers. On July 9, U.S. Marshal showed up at his house and put the handcuffs on him, where he said that day he was going to check his mother into the hospital because she had a bad heart. And the FBI agent said he was very unhappy about being arrested, and he wasn't very forthcoming with any information for them, which I assume that he was, and not very happy, because he really didn't think anything could happen to him. The day before, on July 8, we got a civil judgment because why? He didn't show up for the pretrial conference. Nobody showed up for it, so my lawyers did, and we got a judgment for $388,177.50. It could have been more than that. It should have been more than that, but it was still, it was in our favor. My lawyers refused after that to set up a court-ordered structured repayment plan, although I kept begging them, and they said, we got to wait to see what the federal case does. Well, they didn't do that. On the day of the sentencing hearing, May 6, 2016, Dennis was said to have died in his office there at Northwest 58th and MacArthur in War Acres, a suburb of Oklahoma City. Police called his death suspicious. 2 months later, there was still no state-issued documentation on his death. His wife hadn't seen it, FBI hadn't seen it, the state's lawyers hadn't seen it. And in Oklahoma, even when you are taken to the medical examiner's office, death certificate is only visible to immediate family members, state lawyers, law enforcement, or vested business partners, which throws the doors wide open to all kinds of chicanery and shenanigans, which is, I believe, what we have here. I do believe his death was hoaxed. And I did believe that the U.S. Attorney's Office sort of helped that along. It's not illegal to hoax your death, even to evade prosecution. But if you do, you'd better be a master at evasion and survival, because you can't enter into a contract or open a bank account. You've got to deal in cash, and I guess pretty much live on the beach or something. I don't really know what you would do, but the people who run my gang stalking program, the David Sid organization, are more than able and have the resources to give him all the training that he would require. They went to enormous trouble to do this, all to hide what they're doing. Now, all of you people who think that you're going to get a slam dunk, you're going to go to court and you're going to fix it and lead us all out of the darkness, go at it. I encourage you to do it. Don't let me discourage you, but I'm telling you, something else has got to happen. You've got to get rid of that problem of designation. And if you can hire a lawyer, you're not designated. If the police aren't coming over to see you all the time trying to start a fight, you aren't designated. All right? But if you get a court case filed, then you'll be designated. I finally got sick of all this, and I hadn't been able to do my tax form this year because I can't even get the information from the trustee to do my individual form. So I called the Fusion Center, and they sent the police over here to talk to me. And this is a little story I haven't told anybody. And I told them, that I had these court cases and I had these problems. And the officer had been here before, and he was a little provocative before, but this time he was serious because I'd called these guys, and they're like federal law enforcement. They're part of the secret criminal database network that is global and is distributed even to corporations. And I told him, look, man, I'm on these watch lists. I'm on all the watch lists. I'm on the enemies list. I am thoroughly stripped of the law's protection. And I said, listen, this is what I mean by the larger issue. In this instance, I'm dealing with actual domestic enemies. These people are the real enemies of the state. They are the real terrorists. And they've stolen all the money. They keep stealing it. I can't stop it. I can't even see the accounting. And they're going to kill me. They've said they were, and they've shown me. I've got 37 documented poisoning events that happened in my house between January 1st, 2014, and I can't remember exactly when the diary entry stopped, but it's recently. It's up until like last month or like November of 2017. So about one a month average, although that the rate that they happen varied. And I said, the Constitution doesn't allow me, it doesn't give me the option of taking matters into my own hands. It requires me to do it. I'm required to do it. It's my duty to my country to do it. And I very much resent being put in that position, but it's all I've got. These guys will kill me. This police officer had 2 representatives of the state mental health and substance abuse department with him, and I'm saying this crap to them, knowing they can haul me off if they think I'm crazy. They looked at each other, they smiled, they nodded their heads, and they told me good day. So, my darlings, y'all gnaw on that bone for a while. Good day.